Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Spin It Reviews, and today I'm going to be talking about the debut album from Courtney Barnett called Sometimes I Sit and Think, and Sometimes I Just Sit. So Courtney Barnett is an Australian singer-songwriter who's been generating a good amount of hype over the last couple years off the back of a couple well-received EPs as well as the single Avant-Gardener. And this right here is her full-length debut. And if I had to describe this album in a nutshell, it would probably be deceptively unassuming garage rock. Whether or not you're turned off by her very dry, monotone, kind of half-spoken delivery, it's kind of hard to deny. She has a very distinctive take on writing and performing alt-rock. Maybe you could say a more straightforward female Stephen Malkmus or something, maybe a couple hints of Lou Reed or something, but even then, that's definitely stretching it a bit. I will say that if you're into that Father John Misty album, that's still one of my favorites of the year so far, for its very blunt, conversational approach to the lyrics, then you'll definitely find a lot to like in what Courtney has to offer here. Really, a lot of the appeal on Sometimes I Sit is in how she talks about this seemingly very mundane stuff, chock full of these little details, and uses it to write some pretty charming and even compelling stuff. Really take that stock character of the rock star that refuses to talk outside these grand, universal, eye-roll-worthy platitudes, turn it completely inside out, and you basically got Courtney Barnett in a nutshell. Take the song Depreston, for example, where she's just talking about house hunting in a relatively bad neighborhood, throwing in these little factoids about saving money on coffee and how many rooms this house has, but then she finds out a little bit more about the person who used to live in this house, and all kinds of thoughts and personal connections come seeping in, really culminating in a smart yet simple way in the refrain that closes out the song. Other times, though, it can go a little more one way or the other, or just kind of blend the two sensibilities entirely, like on the fantastic single from this thing, Pedestrian at best. Which is essentially this off-the-cuff, rambling diatribe, basically putting her low self-esteem on full display through a series of pretty clever and occasionally funny lines. And it's all separated with the chorus that, to me, kind of relates it to the pressure that she feels about people actually having expectations about her music now, as opposed to before those EPs when she just kind of did it for herself. But on the other side of things, you have the more silly tracks, like Aquifer Fondo, which is this charming little slice of life that kind of reminds me of one of those Craigslist misconnection ads, and Debbie Downer, a wonderfully sarcastic account of a woman basically annoying Courtney with her intrusive optimism, something that I feel like a lot of us can kind of relate to. Tracks like this and the amazingly titled Nobody Really Cares If You Don't Go to the Party really capture that casual relatability that to me makes this album so appealing in the first place. Now, something I really like about the way she approaches this stuff is that, one, it never really crosses the line to try and be whimsical or something like that, which I feel like it could be in the wrong hands, and also, it could have been easy to just be lazy or uninspired in your songwriting and just kind of pass that off, as a lot of the stuff I'm complimenting this album on, with just its low stakes and stuff, but she does still put a lot of effort into the songwriting, even when it is on the most minor, low-key stuff. But while Courtney herself is definitely the main focus of this album, the music itself works pretty well too. Sure, not every song is a masterful composition, but there are some catchy riffs and hooks and stuff, the right mood change-ups to fit the tone of each song, and the song Kim's Caravan alone is enough that this band is not slacking in musicianship by any stretch. Admittedly, I wish a couple songs had more variation musically. The closer, Boxing Day Blues, just didn't really do anything for me. Just kind of left the album on an anticlimactic note, in my opinion. And I feel like an album with more scope in it, in addition to Courtney's unique songwriting approach, could result in something a little more worthwhile. But aside from that, sometimes I sit and think, and sometimes I just sit, is a very enjoyable, likable record with a very unique songwriting voice to lead it, and it gets an 8 for me. Not every album needs some grand, big concept. Sometimes all you need is a riveting enough conversation about the merits of switching to organic apples. Am I right? So if you guys have heard this album, what do you think about it? Do you agree with what I just say? Disagree? Have any feedback about the channel in general? Let me know in the comments down below. Share this around with anyone who might be interested. Like the Facebook page in the description for updates. And hopefully I'll see you in the next episode of Spin It Reviews.